Good afternoon, Mr. Vertis and fellow classmates. As I previously mentioned during my introduction, aside from being a student here at East Georgia College, I am also a patient care technician, most commonly called PCT. The opportunity of becoming a PCT has given me the ability to care, share, laugh, cry, listen, and most important of all, it has taught me how to be patient. Being that I have had several years of experience as a patient care technician, I have become very proficient at what I do, which ensures me that as a nurse, I will be skilled and confident. Some of you, my fellow classmates, may also be studying towards a degree in nursing. And if so, I would strongly suggest, prior to going into the field of associate degree nursing, that you gain most of your experience as a PCT. The role of a PCT is very hands-on and helps you gain knowledge of what's normal and what's not. I've learned that the hands-on experience in a nursing facility is better understood and retained than learning in the setting of a classroom. In a facility, a PCT is responsible for all patient care, excluding the passing of narcotics and the starting of IVs. For those of you that are working towards pursuing a degree in nursing and may want to consider a position as a PCT, I am going to give you some pointers on how to become a proficient patient care technician. To become a proficient patient care technician, for starters, a PCT should listen effectively during report, which is conducted from shift to shift. This report is a passing on of patient information from one caregiver to another. Each employee involved in a patient's care must receive the same report to ensure that everyone is on the same page in order for the patient to receive the best care possible. Immediately following report, a PCT should begin collecting her patient's vital signs and introduce him or herself while doing so. If any signs are out of normal range, the PCT should report them to the nurse taking care of the patient immediately, so that the prescribed medications can be given to restore the vitals back to normal. Relay anything out of the norm as soon as possible, because if you don't, there's a possibility that you may forget. And hours could go by, which causes the patient vitals to worsen. When this happens, it takes longer for the vitals to return to normal and may lead to the patient being transferred to a monitored unit, or even worse, the calling of a code blue. After collecting the vital signs, a PCT should then document the findings in the proper fields so that everyone involved in patient's care can have access to them. A PCT must monitor the blood sugar levels of each patient who has orders for doing so. Blood sugar should be checked before each meal and then again at bedtime. All one-touch blood sugars should be reported to the nurse immediately so that he or she can determine if whether or not insulin should be given, and if so, how many units should be administered. If a patient's blood sugar is at a normal range or at a low range, the PCT should then make sure that the patient receives a scheduled in-between meal snack. Aside from monitoring patients' vital signs and blood sugars, a PCT must be responsible for reassuring that all of the patients receives a bath and daily oral care. Fresh linen is to be applied to the beds of the patients daily or as many times as needed throughout the shift. A PCT must monitor all patient intake and output, being sure to document them in the proper field. If a patient is incontinent and receives total care, he or she may be required to wear an adult brief. The PCT must be responsible for seeing to it that the patient is kept dry and soil free, which aids in the prevention of skin breakdown. The PCT should also turn the patient every 2 hours to prevent pressure sores. It is a major responsibility of the PCT to make rounds every 2 hours to check patients for the 3 P's, which are very important: pain, position, and the need to potty. All lab specimens, whether they be blood, urine, or sputum, are collected by the PCTs. Each patient's armband should be scanned for verification before any labs are drawn. All specimens should then be labeled correctly before leaving the patient's room. They should then be sent to the lab as soon as possible for results. Never proceed to the next patient to collect labs of any kind before you've completed all the steps for the previous patient. Overall, everything that I've mentioned is very important to know in order for a PCT to become proficient when providing patient care. But the most important thing that a PCT and all healthcare workers can do to help their patients recover successfully is to use thorough hand washing in between each patient contact in order to prevent the spreading of germs from one patient to another. In conclusion, the role of a proficient PCT is just as important as that of a nurse, and PCTs are truly a major part of a life-saving team. Thank you for listening.